Good morning everybody, Classic 80s Fanboy here. So my last video of the week is going to be like the second part of the Biff Bang Pow range, and as you can see in front of you, these are not all the figures that Biff Bang Pow did, but I've got the majority of them, so I'll go through them one at a time. There are lots of issues with these figures. Biff Bang Pow lost their license to be able to do more figures, A, because they ran out of time, and B, because I don't think the BBC were really interested in having them licensed as a company to produce any more figures, so they were trying to be polite in letting the license that they had already run out without renewing it. And I think there are a couple of reasons behind it, but I'll go through it in detail in a little while. What I want to do first is we're going to start off right at the back. We're going to start off with a tote. So I'm going to move all the figures out of the way. I'm going to pause each video and bring them in one at a time, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 7 figures at the end of the day. I'm going to take long to cover them because they're only 8 inches tall. So I'll pause the video and go on to the first one, which is the tote. Hello again. So right, here we are. This is the metal tote that was created by Biff Bang Pow for the celebration of the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who. And as I said before, these products were sold through Entertainment Earth. Got that right this time. And so we'll just take a quick look. It opens up on one side, but there were 2 figures inside, so we'll go through the tote first, and then I'll show you the figures. So here we have a nice picture of the first Doctor with the classic TARDIS and the classic Doctor Who logo that they used for the particular products of the time. It's now changed, it's not that anymore. So inside William Hartnell, we have Katarina from the Dalek Master Plan. And if you can see her very well, I'll bring her forward. There's Katarina, and there's some of the original Daleks from the Dalek Master Plan. And then you have the first Doctor at the front there. In the middle is Ben, the sailor, or the Royal Navy sailor, and then Polly. And then the TARDIS there, obviously. So there's a quick look there. I'll spin it round to the other side. We have Matt Smith. So we have the Matt Smith logo there from his era, from the 11th Doctor era. We have the bluer TARDIS up there. And this was when they brought back the St John's Ambulance sign at the front. Then we have River Song, who's on there. We have one of the Daleks from Victory of the Daleks. Amelia Pond, Rory Williams, and Silence. Okay, so when you opened it up, you'd find these 2 figures in here. I'll just move this to one side, get this out of the way. So we'll deal with the first Doctor first. And here he is. So here we go. There's the first Doctor. He's wearing his black coat, stroke jacket. He has on a checked waistcoat. He's got his black ribboned cravat with a collared shirt. He's wearing checked trousers, black shoes, and he's got his walking stick. Now I'm going to stand him up there for a minute, and then I'll talk through the problems that I've got, that I found in my opinions. Right. He's stood up there now. Now, when you take the figure's clothes off, he is black underneath. He has black stains on the plastic, and that's because the jacket that he's wearing, the dye has seeped through onto the plastic. So I've no intention of taking the clothes off now, because when you do, you see all the plastics that are stained. It's okay at the moment, but like when you lift his chin up, I don't know if you can see, or I'll turn it, you can see dark stain in there. I don't know whether it's going to come out on camera, especially under his chin. And that's come from the dye of the cravat. And all over his body, it's black, where the dye has seeped through onto the plastic. So that's one of the gripes I have. The other gripe as well is his cane that he's got doesn't go all the way down, doesn't touch the floor, and it's made of the material it's made from. It's not. It's a really bendy plastic. It's not really strong. So when I first had him, his cane was completely bent. I did the hot water method, put it in hot water, and it did go back to being straight. Then as soon as you put him up for display, it curves again. So that's one of my mini gripes about it. The resemblance, I'd say, doesn't look too bad. I can see what they were trying to do. They weren't going for a like for like image of William Hartnell. They were just going for a representation. So as with the head front, I think they didn't do a bad job. I think if you look and squint your eyes really closely, you can see William Hartnell in there. He has got wrinkles on his forehead, up the top there, and he has got the old wrinkles on his cheeks, and he's got white eyebrows. But yeah, that's the trouble I have with that figure. I haven't had any trouble with this figure, next figure that came with the tote, which is the 11th Doctor. That's Biff Bang Pow's representation of him in his head. It doesn't look too bad, I've got to admit. They've got the hairstyle right, with a dark brown colour on his head, just one colour, there's no wash in it or anything. I will say that the clothing is it's too big, it's baggy, and it looks ridiculous. The collar especially looks too massive on him. He's got a red bow tie, which is basically a piece of ribbon that's been made to look like a bow tie. He's wearing a brown jacket. This is Velcro at the front to make sure it's closed. He's got buttons down the front, and he's wearing patches on his elbows. They've got that bit right. His trousers, he's just got long trousers and shoes. But as you probably know in the episode, he wears boots rather than shoes, and he has turn-ups at the end of his trousers. So it's not quite accurate on that front, but it is their representation of the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith. It's not supposed to be accurate, and it's supposed to be for like youngsters to play with, young people. He does come with a sonic screwdriver. Just show you that there. It's not incredibly accurate, but he has got some detail in there, in white, gold, black, and the green emitter at the end. It's an emitter at the end. And then two came as a pack. They came as a 2-pack with the tote. They're not bad figures. When you put them on display, when people come into my room and they see them, they're that far away that they can't really they don't really look out of place. They fit in with the other figures that I have. Right, so I'm going to pause the film again and bring on the next two. Hello again. So here we are then. Here's the next two figures. I've got the Fourth Doctor on the right and Leela on the left. Now, I think they are, as a whole, in a bubble, they are good figures, but there are some design flaws with them. The first I want to talk about the Fourth Doctor. Firstly, he comes with his fedora, and the problem I have, and I think quite a few people have, is that it doesn't fit on his head. It does not fit right on his head. And because the heads are made of hard plastic, you can't squeeze the head to get the hat on. And it just looks totally ridiculous. So I never put the hat on. I always leave the hat off, but I keep it as an accessory. I won't be getting rid of it. It just comes with him. He's got his Fourth Doctor's sonic screwdriver. That's a really good representation. It's not painted or anything. It's not coloured in. But it is good representation. The scarf does come off. The only problem with that is that I think it's far, far too long for the actual figure itself. It's just ridiculously long. It's overly long. And what I said before about the dye coming off, if you look under his chin, he's got red dye under his chin, which has stained the plastic. And no matter how many times I've washed him and tried putting cleaner on it, it doesn't come off. It's on there permanently. It's permanently stained into the plastic, which is another bugbear of mine. So I keep the scarf wrapped round him. I know it's so big, the scarf, but I keep that wrapped round him. He's wearing a white shirt with a collar. He's got a black tie. He's wearing a waistcoat, diamond pattern waistcoat, which is velcroed. He's wearing a red coat. And he's wearing tan trousers for some strange reason. And he's got brown shoes. There's his shoes there. And he's actually wearing turn-ups. I never thought he wore turn-ups. But there you go. So that's him. The Leela I've left on a stand because for some strange reason some of my figures have got one leg longer than the other. And it doesn't matter how many times you muck around with it, one leg is always longer than the other. And I've got that with Field Commander Star as well. But the head, it doesn't really look like Louise Jameson, but they've got the hair right. Instead of using like the soft hair they usually put on Mego toys, they've used plastic and put plastic moulded hair on, which is a good call. Yeah, she's wearing a lovely leotard with her skirt bit at the front. That's pleather or some kind of vinyl. Brown boots, light brown boots, and the knife she carries, and that's a real comes off out of the sheath, which I'm not going to do. But yeah, that's really all I've got to say about that figure. So I'm going to pause it again. Oh, Tom's taking a dive. I'll pause it again and bring the next two figures on. So here we are again with the next two figures I've got. We've got Cyber Leader, I think it is, with his black handlebars, and we've got Field Commander. I don't know whether it's Steyr or Stike. It's one of the two. I think it's Steyr. So we'll go with Steyr for the time being. First of all, we'll look at the Cyber Leader. Again, quality control has taken a bit of a hit. because his head doesn't fit on properly onto his body. So his head should be down there, and unfortunately it's not. It's perched on top, and if you look underneath, it just doesn't look right. There's a massive gap there between its head and his clothing. So technically they could have done with making that a lot bigger so that the head could actually fit on, and if you had to glue it down, and so be it, because his head, it does move, but it's not great, if I'm honest. Uniform looks fine, nothing wrong with the actual costume itself. It has got accents. It's got black stripes running down his thighs and along his arms. He's got black stripes there. He's got the chest plate there. As I said before, he's got the black handlebar face with the black handlebar ears. Teardrops are well done. Put the teardrops in, and within the Mego figures in the 70s, they give the Cyberman a nose. Well, this one hasn't got a nose. It's more accurate. What can I say about it? It looks fine, apart from the fact of its head. So if I put that back, it does come with an accessory. Possibly if they sorted their head out and made it sit more onto the body, then it would stand better as well. And it comes with a cyber mat. So there we go. I mean, this is a cyber leader from Revenge of the Cyberman, or Revenge of the Cybermen, as it was known. So yeah, the cyber mat is fine. It's all moulded into one plastic. Not really an awful lot to say about that, but it sits happily down with the Cyberman. And the next we have Steyr, and same again. I've had trouble with him. He's got one leg. This leg here is longer than this leg. So this leg is short and this leg is long, which means you have to split his legs quite wide apart for him to stand properly. Otherwise he won't stand. They've made the belt's alright. It's okay. He's got a device there on his belt which comes off. He's got a gun, and that fits quite well in his hand. They've put when you look inside the body, they've got padding across the front there to make it look like he's got a bit of a belly for some reason. But, and yeah, he's got his helmet, and you take the helmet off, and that's the figure there. Hello. Underneath. But yet again, if you took his clothing off, he's got black stains all over his body. It runs all the way down his arms, across his chest, down his legs, on the end of his feet. It's all black. There's black inside the costume, and it's the dye that's run off and stained the actual plastic skin. And I've spoken to Toy Polo about this, and he suggested using some ideas to try and do it, but as of yet I haven't had the chance to do it. I've been too busy with other things. So at one point I might decide to do that. His head does turn, but it's very stiff, probably because I don't really turn them, but his hat does fit quite nicely on there when you can get it right. There you go. His hat does fit quite seamlessly on his collar. Okay. So there's them two, and we've got one left. So ready for the last one? Here we go. So this is the last one I have, and it's the Master from the Deadly Assassin. As you can see, he's wearing the sash of Rassilon, and he's holding the ceremonial staff of Rassilon as well. Yeah, he's quite a scary figure when you take his hood. If you pull his hood back, and I'll put him closer so you can have a look. That's a really good likeness. You can see the skull poking through. Quite a nasty figure, you know, but it's been well made. The first master I had, this is another master that I had to buy, because on normal Mego figures, the bolt that they use to what it is like a little plastic disc that goes through, and it's got a hook on the end, and this has got instead of having a metal hook with the plastic when it goes through the leg, it's plastic, so it's very fragile and brittle, and if you catch it wrongly, it just snaps off. So once the plug snaps off, the leg falls off. You've got no way of repairing it without having to either get a new figure or looking to see if you can get replacements. And because these are so in limited numbers, chances are you probably won't find any of the pegs, because they're Biff Bang Pow. They've stopped doing this range. They've stopped doing Doctor Who figures now. So the chance of you finding a proper peg to go in there, unless you find another broken master, which I very highly doubt you will find it, because a lot of people now, once the toys are broken, they just throw them away. They don't sell them, they just throw them away. So unless you find another one, you cannot get a replacement. So you just have to go and see if you can find and buy a new master, which is what I had to do when this problem first occurred. They are designed in the Mego way, which means they've got metal hooks in the legs, but as I said, right on the joint is plastic, but they have elastic bands. I think they're in an X, connecting this side to this side, this side to this side, so they are nice and stiff, but after a while the elastic goes and you end up with a loose figure. Same as my Leela, she's loose, her legs are floppy as anything, so that's why I've had to keep her on the stand. But yeah, he's quite a nice figure. He, as I say, there was more figures to get. Scaroth, they did, and they did Horus, I think, as well, from the Pyramids of Mars. So they did that one as well. But yeah, their plans were to do when Mego created the first generation of Doctor Who figures. They did a Fourth Doctor, a Leela, a K9, a giant robot, and a Genesis, and a Dalek. But Jason, the chief executive, wanted to do a Genesis Dalek, and he had the prototype all ready to go. But unfortunately, the license ran out, and they were not allowed to extend the license. So that line of figures had gone, and he had Mr. Sin ready to go as well, with the little guy. I've forgotten what the little guy's name was now, played by Deep Roy. But yeah, he had that ready to go as well, and they just had to drop it. They weren't allowed to produce any more figures, so unfortunately they lost the line, which is unfortunate. But I think if they concentrated a little bit more on correcting the faults that each of the figures had, and paid a little bit more attention to detail, they'd have kept the license. But as I said, I think the BBC were trying to be nice, and they weren't really interested. So unfortunately, the line disappeared in 2014, never to return. So I hope you found that not entertaining but informative. I hope you like the figures. They don't go out of my room, they stay in my room. The next video I will do, I want a bit of a chat as well at some point about collecting figures and the pitfalls of having a large collection. Because I have a lot of loose figures and I'm forever picking them up because they keep falling over. And once one falls on my shelf, it acts like domino effect. Once one goes, they all go. And the amount of times I have to pull them out and put them back again, it does get a bit of a bugbear, and it is frustrating at times. But anyway, that's for a different video. If you like this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, which is a like, and please feel free to subscribe to the channel. I'm very humbled at the moment. I've got 23 subscribers, but it would be nice to have had a few more. I mean, I know it's going to take a couple of years at least, but it would be nice to get a few more than 23. So there we are. Take care of yourselves and each other. Stay safe. Do what the government tells you to do, and we'll get through this, and we'll be back to normal by May, hopefully. Bye then.